Carlton Lloyd Gaben by Veen, August 1698. Dear Howells, your letter came yesterday. It then occurred to me that I might have known, per mental telegraph, that it was due. For a couple of weeks ago, when the weekly came containing that handsome reference to me, I was powerfully moved to write you, and my letter went on writing itself while I was at work at my other literature during the day. But next day my other literature was still urgent, and so on, and so on, so my letter didn't get put into ink at all. But I see now that you were writing about that time. Therefore, a part of my stir could have come across the Atlantic per mental telegraph. In 1876 or 75, I wrote 40,000 words of a story called Simon Wheeler, wherein the nub was the preventing of an execution through testimony furnished by mental telegraph from the other side of the globe. I had a lot of people scattered about the globe who carried in their pockets something like the old mesmerizer button, made of different metals, and when they wanted to call up each other and have a talk, they pressed the button, or did something, I don't remember what, and communication was at once opened. I didn't finish the story, though I re-began it in several new ways and spent altogether 70,000 words on it, then gave it up and threw it aside. This much as preliminary to this remark. Some day, people will be able to call each other up from any part of the world and talk by mental telegraph, and not merely by impression. The impression will be articulated into words. It could be a terrible thing, but it won't be, because in the upper civilizations everything, like sentimentality, I was going to say sentiment, will presently get materialized out of people along with the already fading spiritualities. And so, when a man is called who doesn't wish to talk, he will be like those visitors you mention, not chosen, and will be frankly damned and shut off. Speaking of the ill luck of starting a piece of literary work wrong, and again, always aware that there is a way, if you could only think it out, which would make the thing slide effortless from the pen, the one right way, the sole form for you, the other forms being for men whose line those forms are, or who are capabler than yourself. I've had no end of experience in that, and maybe I am the only one. Let us hope so. Last summer I started 16 things wrong, 3 books and 13 magazine articles, and could only make 2 little wee things, 1,500 words altogether, succeed. Only that, out of piles and stacks of diligently wrought manuscript, the labor of 6 weeks' unremitting effort. I could make all of those things go if I would take the trouble to re-begin each one half a dozen times on a new plan. But none of them was important enough except one. The story I, in the wrong form, mapped out in Paris 3 or 4 years ago and told you about in New York under seal of confidence. No other person knows of it but Mrs. Clemens. The story to be called Which was the dream? A week ago I examined the manuscript, 10,000 words, and saw that the plan was a totally impossible one for me. But a new plan suggested itself, and straightway the tale began to slide from the pen with ease and confidence. I think I've struck the right one this time. I have already put 12,000 words of it on paper, and Mrs. Clemens is pretty outspokenly satisfied with it. A hard critic too content. I feel sure that all of the first half of the story, and I hope 3/4, will be comedy. But by the former plan, the whole of it, except the first 3 chapters, would have been tragedy and unendurable almost. I think I can carry the reader a long way before he suspects that I am laying a tragedy trap. In the present form, I could spend 16 books out of it with comfort and joy, but I shall deny myself and restrict it to 1. If you should see a little short story in a magazine in the autumn called My Platonic Sweetheart, written 3 weeks ago, that is not this one. It may have been a suggester, though. I expect all these singular privacies to interest you, and you are not to let on that they don't. We are leaving this afternoon for Ischel to use that as a base for the baggage, and then gad around 10 days among the lakes and mountains to rest up Mrs. Clemens, who is jaded with housekeeping. I hope I can get a chance to work a little in spots, I can't tell, but you do it. Therefore, why should you think I can't?